Hi, this is Chuck Oliver. Welcome to this week's Hidden Wealth Review. Well, I want to talk to you about time and traps and how that relates to outside of Wall Street opportunities and why the time is now and the traps have likely not been greater. So give me 2 minutes and let me help you thrive in retirement and avoid the 5 greatest traps to retirement because of getting things done in time. See, time is an acronym for my books. Taxes are heading higher, and boy, are they at risk of heading higher depending on the outcome of next year's election and who gets elected now or at some point in the future, because clearly the Democratic Party is calling for tax. The I in time is inflation will be increasing. When we talk trade talks and tariffs, clearly the cost of goods and services here are going to be going up, and we have to account for that in building out our retirement to stay ahead of inflation. The M is market volatility. Wow. The efforts that the Democratic Party are going to try to impeach Donald Trump, I think this is just mild in comparison to what we're going to see leading right up to Election Day of next November. And that's going to make the market very, very volatile. In fact, some people on Wall Street, many of the top talking money minds on Wall Street have predicted that an Elizabeth Warren, for example, win will result in a major double-digit drop, a high double-digit drop on Wall Street. And then the E in time is economic uncertainty. Wow, folks, between trade talks, terrorism, the uncertainty of what's going on in our politics, clearly there's a lot going on. Impeachment, Russia, Ukraine. I mean, guys knows that we've all got sick and tired of hearing these things, and we're going to get really sick and tired of them going forward. But we have a lot going on with economic uncertainty. And that's not going to get better before it gets worse. That's why time. One person said this week, they said, Chuck, it's likely, as you talk about, many of us listening and many of us in retirement or about to get to retirement may never see tax rates this low for the rest of our adult lives, especially depending on this or the following election outcome. And folks, that means a lot of volatility too, because when you got to take a lot more out, right, at a gross number because of a higher tax to account for it to get to the net number, I can tell you those that have already experienced that because the cost of living caught up to them, they're getting taxed to the max, but it's not too late. So if you're already retired, you can get better through retirement. And if you've not yet retired, wow, learn the steps you can put in place to avoid having to undo those steps because of getting them right in the first place. Never too late. Traps. See, this is what happens to boomers, high income and high savings, in particular IRA boomers, as well as higher income and higher appreciated asset business owners get taxed to the max. I've talked to so many of you, whether we're in Scottsdale or Phoenix, Arizona, or in Tampa or Jacksonville or Orlando, Florida, or Chicago, Illinois, all clients up in Maine, New Hampshire. They're saying, Chuck, I'm just getting hammered. And even though Trump has lowered the rates, I'm still facing this. That's the number one trap in traps is taxation, because many people don't plan for it and they assume someone else is looking out for them in the form of their CPA, which is not true. The R in traps is risk, and many people are far more risk exposed than they realize in their portfolios. The A is annual inflation and the impact of that. P is physical health setbacks. Some people are learning, especially those of you listening that are in your 70s and don't have long-term care, and maybe you've gotten a family member through that type of an experience and wow, this could be devastating. There's some really neat things you can do in a hybrid form. There really is a backup benefit you don't pay for unless you need them. And then the S in traps is serious longevity. Many of us, I'm talking to many of you listening that have parents that are playing golf 3 days a week, riding bikes 2-3 days a week, and they're 104, 107 years of age. This is becoming the norm, not the exception. Folks, there's things you can do to protect yourself. Let me teach you how to outfox inflation, how to insulate yourself from the IRS, how to avoid market corrections where you have upside without downside, and many call it a rich man's Roth, and it's one strategy I'll teach this Tuesday. Simply go to retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com and register. It's a log on and learn complimentary educational webinar that'll teach you why now the time has never been more important and how to avoid these traps that have never been more exposed for many of us listening that you can avoid. Retirementprotected.com, retirementprotected.com.